I'm Erin Lento. My handle is The Witch of Saturn, and this is Get Ready With Me Astrology. So I've been meaning to start doing astrology videos on what's happening in the skies and how it's affecting us, and I just haven't been able to get it together to sit down and film something, and I thought, you know what? Let's do it while I get ready. So this is the astrology of this week. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd, and we've got a pretty big week of astrology ahead of us because we're into eclipse season. So there's an eclipse portal this time, 2 times a year, when there's back-to-back eclipses. They always happen in pairs, and it's really called a portal because it's like an opening, an opportunity for change, whether you like it or not. So the eclipses happen on the full moon and the new moon when they're very close to the ecliptic, where the sun and the moon cross paths. And this is the location of the north and the south node. And eclipse season really starts, some astrologers say, a week before and a week after the eclipses is officially eclipse season. I actually think it's the lunation before and after. So the new moon or the full moon before and after the eclipses. Now, what does that mean for all of us? Well, first, let's discuss some other things that have happened this week. So on Monday, we had Saturn go back into Pisces. So Saturn's been ingressed into Aries after being in the sign of Pisces for somewhat around 2 years. And now it has retrograded back into Pisces, and it'll be there until February. And so this is like a wrapping up of that past 2-year period, and whatever sector of your chart is occupied by Pisces, you'll see those themes in your life kind of coming back up. You kind of thought you were done with it, but this is the opportunity for you to really kind of make those permanent changes and tie up any loose ends. And that's really important because we have the eclipses happening in the Pisces Virgo axis. So Saturn is a big part of that. And if you have been kind of following the structure that Saturn likes us to work within, then it shouldn't be too tumultuous. But if you haven't, it could really be like it's like a you got to get your shit together type of situation. So then Mercury just changed signs yesterday, went into Virgo, also pertinent because that's where the eclipses are happening, the Virgo-Pisces axis. So we have a lot of issues around our mental processes, communication, how we think about things, how we learn, how we experience the world and communicate with other people, how our mind works. All of those themes will be coming up. Tomorrow, we've got Mars in Libra squaring Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. And so this is pretty interesting energy. Anytime there's a square to Jupiter, which is the great benefic, it's not necessarily considered a bad thing, but it does make things bigger and it inflates, let's say. And when we've got Mars there, which is the planet of anger, aggression, action, war, it can be a little much, right? And a square is not an easeful aspect. So there could be some intense energy today leading into tomorrow when that goes exact. On Saturday, we have Uranus stationing retrograde for the first time in the sign of Gemini. So anytime there's a station of the outer planets, we can really feel that. It's slow, it takes a while, it's grinding, it really influences the collective. And this is the first time since Uranus has been in Gemini that we're having a station. It kind of sets the tone for the planet in that sign. Like when Saturn first stationed retrograde in Pisces, that was when the Titan imploded deep under the sea. And so that gave us a real it was like such a literal interpretation of Saturn, which is pressure constriction, and Pisces, which is the ocean. It was like very on the nose. So it should be interesting to see what happens this weekend with that Uranus stationing retrograde. You'll want to pay attention to what's happening in your life and to what's going on in the news, especially for the United States. The United States has always been at war anytime Uranus is in Gemini. So it's a little, unnerving on the political world events front in mundane astrology. So that is the intro to our first eclipse, which happens on Sunday. So this first eclipse is a total lunar eclipse. It's a full moon. The moon is at 15 degrees of Pisces. The sun is at 15 degrees of Virgo. And it's very close to the North Node. So it makes it a total eclipse, a blood moon eclipse. It'll be pretty strong, and this one will be pretty emotional. So when we have an eclipse on the North Node, it's asking us to embrace a new path, it'll cause some big shakeups in life. That's just eclipse energy in general. It's chaotic, and it's kind of like, the way I describe it is that you've been steering your boat a certain direction, right? And then all of a sudden the eclipses come in and they're like, whoop, like totally take you on a new course. And if you try to fight against that, it's not going to work out too well. It's going to be unpleasant. So the energy is very let go or be dragged. So there could be some Vedic karmic changes that are happening in your life, that the best way to work with those is just to go with the flow. When we have an eclipse on the North Node, like I said, it's like this wild card where there's this desire for growth. We're moving into something new that we haven't necessarily experienced before. However, it's a full moon eclipse. So that means that it's an energy of culmination, of celebration, of action, of release. This is kind of like one door closes, another door opens type of energy. Also, some kind of like reap what you've sown, right? This is like highly emotional. Something that you've seeded a long time ago could be coming back to fruition. So maybe it's something that you started a long time ago, didn't realize was going to show up and make, evolve into something new and unexpected. And it's like, oh, at the time you had no idea it was going to be as impactful in your life as it is now. So this could kind of take some things to the next level. And with Saturn in the mix there, it's really like, but you got to do it the right way, right? Like, let's release the path that we were on, something that we started working on a long time ago comes back in. It's now time to like start a new path with that, but it better be the right way, because Saturn is like, it's like a home inspector. So if you've ever done construction on your house, you know that like there's a right way to do things. If you have ripped down the walls in your house and stripped everything down to the studs and redone the electrical, and you've reworked your plumbing, and then you think you're done and you go and put drywall back up, like let's say Saturn comes in like a building inspector and is like, oh yeah, just kidding, you did that wrong. The plumbing's wrong. And now you have to rip down all that drywall that you put up, and you've got to fix it before you can do it again. So sometimes Saturn comes in and makes us rework something, because Saturn's very cut and dry. It's like 2 + 2 is 4, and there's no getting around that. Like, I don't care how you want to justify it. 2 + 2 does not equal 5, and it's just tough love until you get it right. But Saturn does have our best interests at heart, so it's going to be interesting to see kind of like how that shows up in your chart, and if you did the plumbing the right way, it's not going to be such a big deal. But if you didn't, you're going to have to like not only be changing course, but undoing the hard work that you've done, which we all know is like such a pain in the ass when you have to do that. So keep me posted on how all of that plays out for you. But the eclipse is at 2:09 p.m. Eastern Time, 15 degrees of Pisces on the North Node, full moon lunar eclipse. I should also note that the Pisces Virgo axis is sometimes called the axis of being. And so this polarity, right, every sign has an opposite. There's a polarity of each of the signs and then each of the houses. And what this illuminates for us is our daily tasks, like how we are going about our day to day, how we are working on a daily basis, how we are improving ourselves on this micro level. Virgo is attention to detail, right? To a fault, to the point of being overly critical and hard on oneself, very meticulous. And Pisces is the exact opposite. It's the whole ocean. It's our dreams. It can also be self-delusion. It's not really seeing the small details. It's seeing this big, vast, ethereal picture. It's the subconscious mind and our spiritual self. And so how do these eclipses are going to come in and they're going to make big changes in those areas and how we operate on those two levels in our lives and how we need to find more balance to unify, like bringing those big spiritual practices and themes into our day-to-day. So that's what I have for you this week. It's a doozy. It's a big one. Drink lots of water and don't forget to wash your hands.